So, because random events are not enough to explain the exquisite fine-tuning of the universe and the laws of nature and the rise of life on earth, there are other people who are saying, speaking about the conscious universe. I was in a debate with Richard Dawkins a while ago, and he screamed at me because I was quoting Freeman Dyson, and finally I wrote to Freeman Dyson because Dawkins said he should sue me. And I said to Freeman Dyson, as you may know, he's one of the most prominent physicists of the century at Princeton University, and one of the people still alive, 90 plus, a colleague of Einstein. And he wrote back, and I have his email. He said, 3 riddles have confused me all my life. One is the random or unpredictable movement of atoms, Number 2, the fine-tuning of the universe, a universe that's fine-tuned for life and mind. And number 3, our own consciousness. And in his amazing humility, he said, I have no idea what the answers to these riddles are, but I think they may be connected. So I have preserved that email for posterity, and this is what I'd like to propose to you, is that how do we know the universe exists? Well, because of our ability to have an experience of it. You're having the experience of this room, you're having the experience of me on the stage, these beautiful flowers, and that in itself is a mystery. Because the second open question in science is, how do we know the universe exists? How do we know anything exists? Because we're conscious beings. And so the second mystery is, where does consciousness come from? What is the biological basis of consciousness? According to science, what you're seeing here is the result of photons coming from here to your eyes. Those photons are just electromagnetic radiation. They have no color, they have no dimensionality. Some of them were manufactured at the time of the Big Bang, and they're bouncing off this, whatever this is, and they're coming to your eyes, and you have a chemical reaction in your eyes, and then that sends an electrical current to your brain, and there's some chemical reaction happening in your brain, and you see this. How do you see this? If all that's happening in your brain is chemistry, you're not experiencing chemistry, you're looking at this. And you said, that's an experience. You're looking at this room. How does this room fit inside your brain? You know, when you talk to cognitive scientists, you say, so where are you having the experience of seeing me? And they say, well, my eyes. Your eyes are 2.5 centimeters by 2.5 centimeters. They're 9 centimeters apart. By the time light gets into your retina, it gets inverted, and your retina is curved. Are you seeing 2 of me upside down, this big, 9 centimeters apart and curved? Obviously not. Well, then they say, I'm seeing you in my brain. Well, how do I fit inside your brain? How does this room fit inside your brain? Go outside and look at the Milky Way galaxy. How does that fit inside your brain? We have a problem. We don't know how we experience this or anything. If I ask you to imagine right now a beautiful sunset on the ocean, do it. Do you see a picture? There's no picture inside your brain. You're experiencing a picture. You're experiencing this. Again, Rumi has a beautiful poem. He says, look at your eyes. They are so small, and yet you see enormous things. So this is the second problem in science. First is, the universe is made out of nothing. And the second is, we have no idea how we experience it. Or where is the experience happening? Because it's not happening in your brain. In fact, your brain is an experience in your consciousness. Your body is an experience in your consciousness. The entire universe is an experience in your consciousness, and we cannot find consciousness. anywhere. You cannot touch it, taste it, smell it, hear it, find it, localize it. Where is it? So, when you look at some of the greatest wisdom traditions, they say, when you say, where is consciousness, you're asking the wrong question. Because where implies a location in space and an existence in time. And your consciousness is not in space-time. In fact, consciousness is that which cannot be seen, but without which there is no seeing. It is that which cannot be heard, tasted, smelled, perceived, imagined, or thought of, but without which there is no imagination, perception, cognition, or anything that we call this. So the Vedanta goes even further. It says, if you can see it, touch it, taste it, smell it, it's not real. The only thing that's real is that which cannot be seen, but without which there is no seeing. So this is what the great wisdom traditions have said. The universe is consciousness. The universe is the excitations of consciousness. It is the activity of consciousness. It is experienced in consciousness. It evolves in consciousness. And it subsides in consciousness. In fact, the universe is what consciousness looks like when it looks at itself. And you are that consciousness. You are the consciousness that looks at itself and says, this is reality. So I see Rupert Spiras in the audience, and he says very elegantly that consciousness is that in which experience arises, manifests, is that in which the universe is known, is that in which the experience of the universe or any experience subsides. And the fundamental excitations of consciousness are just very simple things: sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. Or what we could use as an acronym, SIFT, S-I-F-T, if you want to think of, you want to remember this. And if all experience is consciousness sifting itself out as the body, the mind, and the universe. In other words, the universe is a human construct. It's a human construct. It's the interpretation of consciousness to itself as a result of its experiences, which are very fundamental excitations of consciousness itself, modified forms of consciousness, sensations, images, feelings, thoughts. And so what I propose to you that this is also the very fundamental realization of the great non-dual traditions, Vedanta, Kashmir Shaivism, and in a way even Buddhism, although the vocabulary is different, but it's still the same. That, and this is a very famous expression in Sanskrit, Aham Brahmasmi. I am the universe. You are the universe. Tattvamasi. I am that, you are that, all this is that. That's all there is. And so, the terminology for this is Brahman and Brahman. Brahman is consciousness, and Brahman is the vibration of consciousness as the experienced universe, Tattvamasi. There is only consciousness, there's nothing else. Now this can sound nihilistic because there's no such thing as a body. Okay? No such thing as a body. The body is a continuous, intermittent experience of sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. You had a body as a toddler, as a baby, you have this body, and in fact the body that you have now isn't the body that you walked in with a few minutes ago. So the body is a human construct. It's an idea. There's no such thing as a mind either. Okay? These are human constructs. The mind is just the same thing at a subtle level. It's your subtle body, if you want to call it a body, but there's no such thing. It's a human construct. And finally, there's no such thing as a universe. There's just you. The universe is only consciousness. Everyday reality is a human construct. Now, I had an interesting meeting with a very famous cosmologist, astrophysicist, who's kind of very snooty. He thought he was doing a favor by meeting me because he didn't want to give credibility to what he called a charlatan. And in the room was a mathematician, a very famous mathematician. I'm not going to throw names, but one of the best in the world. And I asked, of course, this cosmologist if he could explain how you experience this. And he couldn't, so I said, how can you, if you can't explain this, can you explain stars and galaxies and the billions of universes? He didn't know how to respond. And he said, I'm going to try and explain mathematically how the universe came out of nothing, to which the mathematician said, he said to him, there is no universe, it's a human construct. I said, you said you were going to explain this? Explanation is a silly word. There's no explanation for anything. The word explanation should be banned. It was a very interesting conversation, but this led to what I'm proposing to you right now. Fundamental realities, the awareness, the excitations of which are the experience of both the observer and the observed in the timeless now. I shouldn't even say the timeless moment of now, in the timeless now. And in every moment, what's happening is consciousness is, in a way, differentiating itself as observer, process of observation, and observed. And the fundamental experience of both observer and observed is sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. SIFT, Daniel Siegel, who's a neuropsychiatrist, offered that acronym to me a while ago, and I've been using it. And then I noticed Rupert Spira uses sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts, and those are basically all that experience is. It's experiencing consciousness, it's an activity of consciousness. So systems of thought, human constructs, have been many through the ages: religious, theological, philosophical, scientific, and now of course we have economic, political and mythological explanations. But do you realize that these are all human constructs? We created them. We created money, we created commerce, we created technology, we created nation states, we created tribes, and we created the concept of Homo sapiens, which means the wise ones, which is of course a name we gave to ourselves. And then we created animals, we gave them names to experiences, and we said this is a giraffe, this is a hippopotamus, this is a dolphin. Human constructs. A dog has no idea that it's called a dog, right? A dog in the White House doesn't know who Obama is. Why? Because Obama, White House, President, Oval Office, nation states, countries, planets, universe are all human constructs. No system of thought can give you access to reality. And no construct has a privileged position over others, whether it's mythological or religious or theological or scientific.